Welcome back, heroes, to another episode of Mythia. We return back to our heroes in the Adamantine Fortress, planning what their next steps are with Queen Estrid and her guard captain, the dragon Ferric Moonwing. We return as Zarafan was speaking to Roland about any aid that you could seek in the city. And they were asking you about your capability to help Western Fae, if you are interested in such a thing.
I mean, now that she's got the enchantment, but she needs to figure out what June might need first before she does anything.
All right.
June is going to request... I'm going to assume they have mages here, honestly. She's going to request a container that is able to hold insubstantial things.
The court wizard is going to head off in a direction to get exactly what you seek.
Good. She requires 2 of them.
All right. Meanwhile, Isaac, now that you have completed your ritual on Euphemia's hand, you see that the groups have clustered together into little think tanks that are attempting to come up with plans or consider your options henceforth. What does Isaac do?
What do I see June and Zarafan do?
You see June request something from one of the court wizards, and then she turns back to Zarafan. They appear to be discussing methods. They appear to be discussing methods to deal with the plague.
As you listen to them,
you're going to hear June mention something that we're going to need to find the focus that Pitt set up in order to have something that would be able to commute the cure, if we can find one, out. But she thinks that it'll probably be fairly difficult to find in the city, considering it is a pretty large city.
Isaac, another thing perhaps of import to you is that Pitt has clearly used an underlying plague that is reliant on a second party characteristic, in this case, darkness. It sounds very similar to a disease you once dealt with in the city of Candle, although that one was combined with undeath. You are also quite adept at sicknesses and plagues for some reason.
For some reason.
Perhaps if you could look at the actual virus under a microscope or under greater clarity, you might be able to discern more about it through your expertise.
We still don't have a sample, do we?
You do have a sample now.
Well, not yet. However, we do have something else. I have the blueprints for the entire virus.
You mean the DNA strand?
But he doesn't know that, and I don't know he needs to know that information. So, you'd have to ask.
You see that this woman who has come in, apparently named Annalise, is speaking to Juniper and Zarafan with quite a bit of casual demeanor as they suss through the problem. Do you seek to join them in their discussion?
Yeah, I join in and start listening.
Yuffie, now that your gloves have been enchanted, what do you do?
She will approach June. Tell me what it is you need.
She nods and she says, as soon as the court magician gets back with the containers, I'll get them to you. They should be infused with magic so that they will contain the disease and the darkness.
You want them separately?
Yes.
If it's based in darkness, Annalise says, then likely a turn undead spell would also keep it at bay.
Probably.
You know that this is the case.
Okay.
And darkness often responds to anti-undead magic because they're very similar.
As long as they're still bonded, yeah.
Zarfin says that's very similar to the repulsion that Zarakon had to my radiant energies. I wonder if they're somehow connected.
It's possible the darkness used was from Zarakon himself.
That was my thought. But we can't have Yuffie pull the disease out of everybody by nightfall.
I agree. That is completely infeasible. I would like a sample of both the disease and, well, we have this darkness bit. I think that we can use it as a focus. But we need his focus. There should have been
Do you
a
mean
sigil
one of the
stone
runes?
or... No, the runes are everywhere. That's used as a medium throughout the city.
Likely a trigger.
Yes, he should have a solitary one that he used to send it out. Send out the signal originally.
Do you think
That's
it
what
would
we need.
still be here or with him?
It would probably be stationary, so probably here, somewhere in the city, but finding it is going to be the issue.
It has to be within a mile of the city limits, or he wouldn't have enough range on the object, he says.
But the problem is the city limits is vast.
Substantial.
Both you and Zarfin say vast at the same time. And Annalise is going to turn towards you. I'm Annalise, she says. You must be an ally of Juniper's.
Annalise, this is Euphemia Carr. Euphemia? Annalise.
She reaches her hand out. Nice to meet you.
You as well. She looks over. Roland?
Wait, is he here?
I'm against the wall looking real anxious.
Okay.
Greetings. My name is Annalise. I'm a godmother.
Good to meet you.
I heard about some of your exploits.
Mm-hmm.
With Ace, particularly.
Yeah. Really don't like that guy.
She's going to smile slightly.
Awkward small talk ever.
I love it. I love it.
I was there, you know, during the invasion.
Where?
Around. I was around. So, doing things. You know.
Godmother things.
Godmother things. She smiles a little bit. She goes, big fan. She turns around and sort of walks back towards the group.
Thanks.
Yuffie's gonna live her. Is she always this open?
She doesn't get out much.
Then Yuffie seems to remember she's supposed to be angry at you and kind of straightens back up.
June actually is looking at you. You actually see a worried look, a kind of concerned look as she's looking at you. And she goes, "How are you feeling?" She's looking at your arm that you pulled the darkness from.
I assume she's feeling nothing.
Correct.
Yeah. She would report that. I don't feel any different.
Good.
Isaac, you are going to witness as a raven-haired beauty in a quite fashionable work dress is brought in and placed upon the table in the center of this throne chamber. You would recognize by description only the famous Western Fae, heiress to the Fae family of the Diamond Straits near near Salinox.
Hey.
It wasn't me this time.
Hey.
Did you say her name was Western Fae?
Correct.
Okay.
You know that her family is a disgraced noble household. Once they lived very close to where your estate is now in Salinox, but when the Tiefling Uprising came many years ago, They were shunted away from the city proper.
I need to ask a question. Did you say Western or Western?
Western.
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 Yes. Okay. Sorry. You were saying Western earlier, and I think that's what he heard.
Western.
So is she being carried in on a stretcher? Is she sick?
Yes. She is presented towards Euphemia. You see that she is almost certainly nobility.
Roland will approach the table and kind of stand behind, close behind Euphemia while she's doing this.
Did the noble we saved first? She mutters under her breath.
Did the court magician come back yet?
The court wizard is entering with Western, and has the necessary jars. They're quite large. He is going to come forward, and he gives you the implements.
She takes them. Can you stick it through the glass, or do you need to have it open?
You cannot leave things through objects.
Right. It's just her hand, so it has to be open.
All right. So she'll trigger the thing where you can leave the lid off, but you can trigger the... My
Shield?
brain... Yeah. We'll go with shield.
All right.
All right.
My brain's not working today. Words are hard.
There. We ready? She asks.
Yes.
Okay. Let's go for the first one. And she sinks her hand in.
As you reach your hand inside this woman, you will feel a warmth surrounding your hand, and you are going to see a prodigy, gifted, relentless, and abused. Her father put all of his expectations upon her ascension. She was to carry their family on their backs back into good grace. She was trotted to every school imaginable, put through the rigors and discipline that you could not have imagined in your youth, made to do every sport under the sun, and rushed about like a prized pig. And she was slapped in the face whenever she protested. And now she is obsessive, determined to be the best, and yet filled with too many character flaws to do so. Impatient, easily frustrated, and childish. She never grew up from that little girl. Except now she's one of the most famous and skillful heroes in the world. Fated to be the best blade master in Mythia.
While she's scrummaging around, anything else?
Scrummaging
around.
around.
Just kind of passing through there.
What are you looking for, particularly?
Other than the darkness, is there anything else nefarious or odd?
Beyond the flaws that I gave to you, you see fear from past battles against other Ascended. A forceful idea that is rooted deep in her mind that in order to be the best, she must have the best man. And she very clearly sees that as Roland and Leslie as a blockade to that trophy.
When she sees that, she might pause and just kind of look at Roland for a second, and then just go back to work.
You also
That's a good thing we don't know exactly how much you see.
both a reserved fear of her father and a righteous pride in her family, which is troubled on shaky ground at best. Something she wants to carry forward to greatness on only her own actions.
Can she find the disease?
You've already got it.
Can...
You're just
You're
wasting
just
time now.
procrastinating and spying.
I'm not spying. I'm
stealing other people's
curious.
secrets.
Did you just say I'm not spying?
I'm not spying, I'm just curious.
This is clearly going to be someone they're going to rely on as
I'm
an
invading
ally.
all of your privacy.
Considering that she totally got screwed over with, like, Pitt, and she doesn't know who's brainwashed or not, like, she'd like to be able to be certain in some allies. Jeez.
Oh, one
Excuses.
last aspect. She is hyper racist against halflings. She
They're gonna
thinks
get
you
along
all are
great.
cute little bunnies.
They're going to get along really great.
When she went to Garen, she thought that the halfling villages were so quaint and cute, she'd never seen anything so adorable in her life. And she pinched their cheeks and slapped them on the shoulders and rubbed their little heads for luck.
Yeah, she's lucky she didn't get lit on fire by some halfling mage.
Does she feel inclined to protect them because they're so cute?
As one would any pet rabbit.
All right. She'll pull out the disease first.
All right.
Can she? Remind me. Can she double?
No.
No, I didn't think so. Okay.
As you pull out the disease, this time you are able to look into your own hand. You see a spiny, strange object, a circle with several bejeweled protuberances. Some of them are spiked, like roughly every third one of them, and the other ones are capped and round.
June asks you to turn it about so that she can observe all of it.
She does, but
You would recognize perhaps 100,000 time magnified virus molecule.
Yeah, June just goes,
this is the strangest thing I think I've ever. Well, 10 minutes would need to elapse, though, right? Or are these protected against that, so it wouldn't matter? It would hold it no matter what.
So nothing can prevent the thing from returning. But if she is awoken, well, if you let it go and she chooses to not take it, you can put it in the jar.
okay,
Why
so
does
she has to
be
hold on to it.
awake?
She doesn't. I said that accidentally. She doesn't have to be.
I would assume she would choose to not be diseased or engulfed in,
Very likely that would be something that even unconscious her body would reject.
like, life, right? You want your life back, typically.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
So
Would
she has to
reject
hold it for
disease
10
and
minutes?
take life. No. She is able to put it in the bottle now.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So she will.
Okay.
As you do so, you hear... She looks up. Roland, you saved me, she says. What happened?
Not me. Her.
Yuffie will approach. Hold on, I need one more. And just stick her hand straight in there.
I will say, if you are reaching in for the darkness, you have already killed it.
Yeah, with the glove. We already have a darkness.
Oh.
Do you still
No,
go?
she's still gonna do it. And then she'll be like, oh, wait, and pull her hand back out.
Right.
My
She
God.
looks indignant. She goes, she's going to sit up and she sort of starts. She goes, and who are you?
The halfling who saved your life. You're welcome.
She's going to look up and she's going to look at Roland and her eyebrow arches to ask, true?
He just shakes his head and walks away. All concern he had was washed immediately away.
The moment she opened her eyes, it's gone.
Yeah, exactly. All concern he had for her was gone the moment she woke up.
Now, knowing a bit more about this woman, from your view through her life history, when she looks down at you, you're going to recognize the one thing Western cares about more than anything else. Herself. And if you saved it, then you're worthy of respect. She looks down. It seems I owe you my life. she says. I'm sure that other numbskulls could have saved me, but I am glad nonetheless that you did so.
We'll need your strength. I hear you have a lot of it.
She goes, oh dear, Roland's been talking about me. She's going to stand up. She is...
Oh God, you could totally screw Roland over so hard right now.
She's about 5'8", quite slender, and you see that while she is wearing what you would consider unpractically fashionable clothing, her heels are cut fairly short, and all of her stuff seems to be carefully tailored to allow movement. Perhaps save for the fairly tight leather leggings that she is wearing. She is going to clop onto the adamantine, and she sort of looks down. Oh, the fortress, she says, of course. She's going to walk forward. Queen Estrid, she says, I suppose I'm at your service. Hello, she says, turning towards Zarafan. Zarafan is going to kind of look over, and you see this, mild, he's, looking at her, and then he goes... It's a sort of panicked glance, asking for aid.
Rafe, I'm going to need your aid on this.
Rafe? I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name, she says. It's Zarafan. The angel? She says, sort of stuttering over the word. Indeed. Lead on, he says towards you.
Isaac, would you like to join us? And
Yes, please.
Roland, if you could, we could probably use your aid.
So what am I supposed to do? She's holding out her glowing hands.
Nebel says, we have a pile of sickened individuals that we could certainly use your aid with, if you're willing to, Miss Carr.
I'm willing, but what will hold?
She holds you, gives the other jar to you. No, wait, I needed both of those. Did they give, how many did they give me? 2? We need another one of those jars.
Will it contain a lot of them?
You see, this is a big jar, and there's just a little bitty thing in the bottom.
Okay. Good enough.
All right.
Think of it as a jar of marbles.
Marble death.
Isaac,
Best
I have
game
a
ever.
question for you.
Shoot.
Did you release Phalor from your control?
I don't think I would have this whole time for any reason.
Then you hear at the front of the entrance hall, Queen Estrid, there is a figure outside the fortress. It's waiting. It appears to be some kind of skeleton, he says, a tiefling one.
Isaac's head will, do a 180 and fling around and look at the conversation as it's happening. He'll say, Juniper, please, just one moment. And you'll see him storm out of the room past the guard to the entrance.
I believe that our cleric may know something about this.
The guard is going to say, shall we unleash the gargoyles on it? And Queen Estrid is going to shake her head.
Yeah, June's like, mm-mm.
All right. Isaac, as you go to the front, the guards are going to be whispering quietly to one another. What is it? Looks like death, one of them says. Hopefully it comes back to destroy the damn thing. And then they're going to kind of turn when they hear your feet walking up. And
Click of his hooves on the adamantine floor.
Nebel is going to go after Isaac. And the bird is going to catch up with you. The two of your feet make a rather musical beat on the ground. Click, 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 donk. Click, 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 flonk. And he is going to say, the figure is one of yours?
So this is the owl, right? Okay. If he's keeping up with me, I keep pace and I say, yes, it's one of my, it's just an inanimate object. I keep moving through magic. It's nothing dangerous.
He says,
Roll deception, sir.
You are part of the Crowley household, he says.
That I am. I see you've done your homework.
It is my fate to know these things, he says. He says, you must be the talented son. Is it Isaiah?
Is he asking about my brother?
No, he's asking about you.
You just got your name wrong.
Oh. I correct him and say, no, it's Isaac.
He's going to narrow his eyes. Lord Isaac, he says, it is my fate to know these things. I can see your name above you right now. It says Lord Isaiah Crowley.
Are you aware of what's been happening lately with fate itself?
I was the one who received your note.
Then is it possible that maybe your fate isn't working quite as intended?
Or perhaps the name written on your birth certificate is different than the one that they call you.
Isaac will shut up, and you see he kind of like puts his fingers to his chin and starts thinking about that.
As you reach the gate, you look out. Shall we let it in? He says.
I look to the two guards, and then I turn back to him and I say, are their names correct to you when you look at them?
He nods. They are.
And to you, my name is still Isaiah.
Yes.
Interesting. This is the first I've heard of it, but perhaps I need to speak to my parents. But yes, let it in. It belongs to me.
The guards are going to kind of like look at you a little creeped out when you say it belongs to me. And Nebel's going to nod, though, and they're going to let him in. Meanwhile, more jars have been brought, and more work is being done to consider your options. At this point, Estrid and Ferric are both in the conversation with Annalise, Zarafan, and Juniper. And Western has inserted herself in the conversation to occasionally say, what?
June ignores her completely.
Euphemia, do you take the guard's guidance to the pile of ill?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And as you reach them, do you pull the sickness from them? At this point, this is quite easy, actually. However, as you drop more and more of these strange jeweled orbs into the jar itself begins to blacken like it's filled with candle smoke.
She stops. She looks at it. I think I might need to take this back.
All right.
She runs back in with it.
As you look at the smoking inside of this jar, it looks like there is some kind of waxy substance, almost like pus, inside of the jar now. And beyond that is a cloud of opaque smoke.
Gross. Mm-hmm. I'm assuming this is the real form of the sickness?
You're not 100% totally sure how Euphemia's fate works, and you've never seen her place things in objects before.
Yes, however, I'm pretty certain that the disease doesn't actually look like a giant disease organism.
No, that's almost assured.
Yeah. so.
Zarfan is going to look at it. The structural integrity of the jar itself is changing, he says.
Will it escape?
I don't know.
I didn't fuse it. And then she looks sort of startled, like she didn't mean to say that.
She goes, Yuffie, might I have a word?
Sure.
She will get out of earshot of everybody. Says, I know this is a bit prying, but how exactly does your fate work in regards to removing things? I wouldn't ask except, well...
We have a smoking, pus-filled jar.
Of death, yes.
Yes. Typically, if someone doesn't want it back, it stays out. And as far as I've seen, there are two options. Either it remains inert or I can fuse it with something.
If it becomes inert, as you put it, it just vanishes forever. You either put it in something, or after 10 minutes maximum, it is just gone forever.
So she kind of put it in something.
She kind of put it in something.
Okay, she goes, technically, I would assume that you used it with the jar.
Accidentally made a jar of sickness.
Fascinating. Guess we'll have to figure out what it does. Can you tell?
Can she? Yeah, I mean, she...
Okay. She doesn't know.
From
I don't
your
know how you work.
experience,
It's iffy.
combining things with other things can make crazy, horrible, wondrous stuff.
Uh-huh. In the times I've done it, she says...
Ah! You hear Westerin scream a little bit. Zarafan has the jar at this point.
Oh, I thought, okay. I thought I was holding it, but that
And
works.
the jar has sort of grown a mouth. A yellow-toothed, fanged mouth like a mimic. And is like chomping.
At him?
Yeah.
Is it like actually biting him?
No, he's holding it. It's wiggling around in his hand. It can't seem to get any purchase because it doesn't have any limbs.
That's helpful. Hopefully it doesn't grow any.
He's going to kind of like start at it. It's become alive, he says.
She's looking kind of sheepish.
Are there any fate readers?
That was me.
She says, Nebel, the owl is going to come forward. I'm not sure I want to touch it, he says.
Do you have to for it to work?
Yes.
Well, then touch the back of it.
Zarafan is going to sort of place his hands around the edge of the mouth and sort of hold it shut like a muzzle. And the creature begins to smoke a little bit. It's sort of spitting out like cigarette-style smoke.
If it's actually, is it coming into the air?
Yes.
I'm going to... Can I just like kind of enclose it?
In what?
A little bubble of magic?
For a wish point.
Okay, I'll do that. I just don't want the... I don't want the smoke to infect anybody. She goes, the smoke shouldn't affect anybody now.
Nebel says, readings usually take a few moments at least, he says. The more complicated the fate, the longer the process. Up to a half an hour.
Then perhaps get started?
He is going to say, Angel, would you help me secure it in a more permanent fashion? And then I shall return with the knowledge, he says. Quickly, we're going to need your advice for our next move, Estrid says. Isaac returns. Euphemia, what are you doing with the disease from now on?
She's kind of looking at June like this was an unanticipated...
Yeah, I'm kind of like, maybe don't do this right now. I'm glad I was the one who put the darkness into the jar. Does it work that way?
Does what work that way?
Well, she didn't actually put the darkness in the jar. She just pulled it out and I caught it.
Correct.
And I stuck it into a jar, so it's not doing anything, right? It's like...
So the darkness was not brought out in the concept form that Euphemia draws things.
Okay, it was like a literal physical...
It was a physical darkness creature.
I was just a little concerned. We're good. All good. I didn't want a jar of darkness. That sounded bad.
So,
if she just dropped it on the floor after 10 minutes, would it dissipate?
yes.
Oh, thank God.
So she'll share that. I think, actually, we've been going about this the wrong way. I didn't get quite the normal feeling of fusing something. I didn't quite realize I was. I think if I drop it on the floor, after the appropriate time, we may be okay.
It'll be a slower process, but it will not have the side effects. Isaac, you see what has occurred with the jar?
You missed a lot, buddy.
Isaac will walk up and say, well, Euphemia, were you able to get at least one easy-to-handle sample that we could take a look at?
As Isaac approaches Euphemia, Prongor is going to say, "You leave that godmother alone for a second. Look what happens."
She will hold up a hand and she goes, actually, I think I can help. And June is going to create a... I can't talk, like, at all. Minor illusion, that's the word I was looking for. Of the molecule that's big, that I memorized when she showed it to me.
Mm-hmm.
And do that.
Roll a medicine check. Whoever has the highest medicine may roll an aided check. Roland.
It's probably not me.
I've got a +1.
I've got a +1.
I'm going to say he.
We got a 5.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll aid you. And do cast the thingamagummy on you.
Roland.
Gotcha.
Shadow is going to come up towards you. She points at her stomped eye.
Mm-hmm.
Is going to go like this.
I don't know if it's safe for you to go back right now.
She points around you at the walls.
Does she mean, like, do you think it's safe for her to go around here?
Mm-hmm.
There's someone you could ask. But I'm not there.
Are you talking about Zarvin?
No. You could ask Cleby what Shadow is actually saying. Because we
I'd
learned
like
that
to
Cleby
ask, where exactly are they right
hanging out in the room with us, probably.
now? I hope they're not.
I'm not letting
I hope
I'm
they're
not letting
getting
walks
into
out of my
I hope
sight.
they're not getting into anything, exactly.
So as you all entered the chamber, they sort of started running around the outside of it, looking at all of the murals on the walls.
Question.
I bet they drew on all of them.
Does Walks still have his messenger speed?
He appears to. He's occasionally zipping across the room.
Interesting. Okay.
Roland will tell her, go rest, but if anything happens, you come back, okay? And then he kind of, like, softly touches near her eye and kind of, like, pats her on the side of the head.
She's going to hug you.
Yeah.
She steps into the shadow realm.
Giant shadow dragon puppy.
Mm-hmm. She's so cute. I love her.
She's going into the shadow realm?
Just to rest.
This is a bad plan, but I don't know it.
Mama, me and Cleby have a plan.
So sick. Can't wait.
What's your plan?
We go rescue Hero. I run Cleby across water, okay?
No.
Alright, we go.
She scoops him up with telekinesis.
He tries to run. He looks up. Why not?
Because you can't leave this fortress right now. We will get Hero back, I promise. It's very brave of you both wanting to do so. But right now, if you go and try to do that, you're going to cause more problems for everyone. Right now, you have to wait here.
Mama, I tell you a secret.
She leans close.
I say I tell you, so Cleby feel better, but I can't run on
She nods. She says that he's very brave for thinking so.
He says, "You're very sad."
Is Cleby near us as well?
He is staring from the far wall over at your conversation, but he clearly can't hear it.
I need you to stay with Cleby, okay?
Okay.
Do not leave this room. Promise me.
How am I supposed to stay with Cleby and not leave?
This room. Cleby's within this room.
Yeah, but Cleby wants to go.
She's going to go over to you.
Could you hear any of that? I'd assume not.
Nah, it was very quiet.
She'll just raise an eyebrow.
I'm thinking you might need to speak with Cleby. He's feeling bad about Hero.
We all should feel bad about Hero.
Hero is incredibly brave, and we will get him back. There's no question about that.
She looks down at her hands. Oh, I know we will. I'll talk to him. And she leaves to go with Cleby.
You are going to hear a noise, an unusual noise. Sounds like two tieflings walking down the adamantine hallway towards this room, and it draws the attention of most of the gathered audience. As everyone looks down, the guards are going to kind of look at one another, and then you see them kind of go towards their bololocks. You're going to see a ruddy donkey walk into the room.
June's eyes widen. Okay.
You see Estrid sort of look around.
She will walk over to the donkey, and she goes, "You're back." She doesn't say that out loud. She just looks at him. And she scratches the head.
He's going to put his mouth up towards you and sort of like nom his lips on your hand.
And she will telepathically say, "Go back into form."
The donkey's going to slowly turn about. "What's happening?" Queen Estrid says as the donkey goes to slowly leave the room.
"Oh, this is my mount."
Westerin sort of looks over. You exchange a glance with...
Yeah.
She exchanges a glance with Roland. And Zarfen's gonna just sort of look on as though everything is very normal. The donkey is gonna leave the room. And Yuffie, you're at such the angle that you can watch it go. And as the moment it goes out, you're going to see it just sort of vanishes.
Where does it go?
The dragon is going to sort of like peer his head out, but when he doesn't see the donkey anymore, he's going to look down at you. Your mount.
It's the mount of a godmother. You don't expect anything normal, do you?
It looked quite normal, he says.
Yes, Clover is quite handsome. She smiles as though a proud mom.
The dragon is going to raise his eyebrow, and then... Is it left?
Well, he's not here right now.
Those are not the same thing.
She goes, "Clover will not cause any problems, I assure you. We need to get to work."
What is going on? Western says towards you as she grabs onto your arm.
I kind of feel slightly bad for her, honestly.
Your guess is as good as mine.
Are these, your friends?
Yeah, these are the people I'm with.
Nice distinction, sir.
Quite an interesting crew you have going here.
Mm-hmm.
Are they as easy to work with as I am? Stop looking like that towards me. What did I do to you?
Nothing. I'm glad you're okay.
Finally, a little gentlemanly genteel, she says.
He winces for a second. I just want to get out in the streets.
Who's the handsome tiefling?
Isaac?
Isaac. What's his name? Full name?
Crowley. From Salinox.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Never mind, he's ugly.
Uh-huh. He rolls his eyes real hard.
She says, "Excuse me." She lets go of your arm and is going to stalk up towards Isaac.
No.
He kind of walks closer to where this is going on, to at least over here. How this is going to go.
Ready to run
Get the popcorn
interference.
out?
Ready to become embarrassed by the person he knows.
Greetings, sir. I hear your name is Isaac Crowley.
Is this Western saying this?
Western, yes.
Okay. So Isaac is deep in thought, clearly studying the illusion of this virus. And he's kind of like walking circles around it and looking really closely at different parts of it and kind of muttering to himself. And he's so absorbed that he does not hear her or respond. And so she's kind of just left standing there.
She is going to violently tap you on the shoulder. Sir, I addressed you.
Isaac freezes, and then he whips around and looks at her, clearly annoyed. It says, "What? I'm busy."
I would expect no less rudeness from a son of Crowley, she says.
Isaac narrows his eyes and then recognizes again who she is and says, "There's no need to associate with me. There is no need to associate me with my family any longer. I left that petty squabbling behind when I left Selenox for good. Now, do not bother me again until I'm done. I need to study this."
Roll a intimidation check, please.
18.
Nice. Does it punch through her denseness, though?
If it doesn't, I have a backup plan, so it's all right.
She's going to start a little bit, and then she sort of is going to look back, and just without whispering at all, she's going to say, "Is he at all helpful in this circumstance?" "Fine, you are spared the rod for now," she says.
Isaac's train of thought has been broken, and he goes back to studying and tries to get back to where he was.
She's going to reapproach Roland. "So everybody seems to be doing something. What are you doing?"
Waiting to be told what to do. Our skill set isn't exactly helpful here, I don't think.
Did you want my medicine roll yet, or is that later?
Go ahead and give it to me.
Okay, I rolled a 23 back when you first asked.
Dang.
Sweet.
6. All right. No, I'm sorry. What were you saying?
Don't worry about it. Just continue with that.
Okay.
I had plans for you, but it's okay.
Do you call him over?
No, it's fine. I already did, but apparently it got forgotten.
She says, "Well, man up and go do something. You're a paladin. You've got some heavenly mumbo-jumbo you can do, right?"
Yeah, and there's an angel standing right there.
She says, "So, why aren't you, I don't know, discipling under him or something?"
Kind of doing that my whole life, man, but if they need me, they'll tell me what to do. And till then, my friend is just sitting in jail on our ship.
"Straighten up. Why are you so crass in your words? Use proper titles," she says. "It's unbelievable." And then she's going to walk away.
He is getting ready to have to pull her out of this room.
She's going to head over. "Oh my gosh, you're adorable," she says towards the walks. And she's going to head over towards it.
You know what? Let her. That's perfect.
Walks is going to Who are you? No grab. And then
No
he's gonna
grab.
like, doo, away from her. And she goes, a messenger bird. I need one.
Good try. You're gonna keep her occupied.
Theric has entered the conversation, and at this point, he's going to turn. Roland, we could use the capabilities that you possess.
Yeah, sure, what do you need?
At this point, all of you are speaking together, and you have uncovered through your own thoughts with the others and the combined wisdom of the room that you have all the capability to destroy the disease, obviously, here. The problem is the mass scale required.
And the time.
The easiest way to go about spreading healing light through the city would be to ride the signal that Pitt himself is using to spy on you all.
Mm-hmm.
In order to do that, you would have to find a needle in a haystack, though. His stone that he is using. Likely a rock somewhere in the city. And it can be outside, a mile outside the city. It needs to be at least probably about 40 pounds. So it can't just be like a pebble. And you can track it, of all things, with walks. Since he apparently can hear it.
But Walks is a messenger, and messengers in the city start to lose their powers.
That's true enough, but it seems that whatever thing Walks does not possess has kept him alright.
Or the fact that he's got darkness.
Or the fact that he's got darkness.
June actually freezes when she stops thinking about it. She goes, Walks, where are you?
I'm running, he says, as Western is sort of like, come here, bird.
Come
and
here,
she's
Walks.
chasing after him. These heels, damn it. He's going to zap over towards you. Oh, good, pick him up for me, she says.
She looks over at her and she goes, Walks, hold still for me for a moment, please.
You let her pick you up, she says indignantly as you pick up Walks.
She kind of says, I was concerned about she's talking to Zarafan. She goes, I was concerned about his powers because of the whole issues with the messengers. But he's fused with darkness.
You believe that gives him some kind of immunity?
I think it might, considering Pitt seems to use darkness as a vessel for his diseases.
You're probably correct, he says. How does that help us?
Well, Walks is able to sense the frequency.
So we have him lead us to the stone.
Yes, but even with his speed,
We still need him to stay with us.
Exactly.
If he can't run on any road in Bridgewalk.
Correct.
Or bridge, Walk says. The
Road or
roads,
path.
too. What about rivers? Are rivers roads? Zarafan says. Rivers, not roads, Walk says indignantly.
Oh my god.
He was walking just fine on the boat, so...
He goes, that because rivers, not roads, Mama.
I know, that's why.
Yes.
She scratches. So he's still limited to our speed. She looks is there a window?
No.
Okay.
You are in the center of the fortress.
She pulls out her timepiece and she goes, we won't have enough time to cover it. No matter how I do the calculations in my head, there's no way we can cover the time.
What are you referring to? Covering the time.
Darkness will fall before he could find it.
That seems very likely. You know that sunset at this time of year is going to be at 7:30, so you have roughly 2 hours.
She goes, we've got about 2 hours before the sun sets, and that's not including the dark areas in the canyons for the lower regions.
Perhaps, Tharic says, if you tell us what to look for, the Drake Guard can soar over the city. As long as we are able to avoid the pirates.
She gives the best guesstimation she could about the rock. I mean, unfortunately, there's not much that would differentiate it, right? He wouldn't want it to look different.
Perhaps if we could merely fly the creature, he says, pointing at Wax. It is only his ears that are needed.
Can Wax point the direction of it?
She nods. She goes, Wax, do you think you could do that?
What I do?
You would fly with one of the nice guards around the city on the back of a drake.
You nice?
What?
He asked him if he was nice.
The guard sort of looks at him. Okay, Mama, he nice. What I do?
You would listen for the sound. Remember the sound you heard on the boat?
Yes, I still hear it.
Mm-hmm. Can you hear it any louder? Any other places you've been?
It's louder in your river. It's pretty quiet here. It's still annoying, Mama.
I know. We'll find it and make it stop.
Yes, I do that.
Okay, if you go with them, you have to stay with them. Understood?
Stay with who? Nice guard?
Yes.
Big dragon?
Well, who's gonna take him?
Estrid is going to turn. She's going to turn to her guard captain.
The dragon?
She nods towards him. I'm sorry, not her captain. The sergeant that she had with her outside in the city. That is a human. He's a bold human. He's going to nod, understanding that she has assigned him this duty. I'll take good care of it, he says as he comes forward.
Him? And yes, you shall.
He's going to kind of offer his arms.
There was no hiding the threat that if anything happened to this bird, I'm coming after him.
Zarafen's going to hold up his hand. Once we arrive at the stone, he says, we're either going to need an enormous amount of power or some other solution. I think that Roland, me, and Isaac, combining our efforts, could probably cast out a wave of heavenly light large enough to cover the city.
She narrows her eyes, clearly gauging how much he has left. She's good enough to know.
He would sort of whisper, 7. He would have 7 days left.
Even if you did that, we would still have to create a ritual large enough to be able to do it.
We would need time, he says.
We don't have that time.
I think the ritual would only take perhaps 15 minutes to set up.
Yes, but we have to actually create the ritual first.
Perhaps we could adopt an old one.
Didn't you say something earlier about turn undead? Working on it?
June
Yes.
pulls out her watch.
But we would need the undead, that energy, to tap into the stone. Use its signal to blast out over the city. That requires a ritual. What were you thinking?
She sighs and she goes, it'll be too close. I'll handle it.
You don't have that sort of heavenly light.
I don't need it.
He looks slightly confused.
June sighs, and she holds on to her little lantern in her necklace.
Okay.
And she leans down and picks up those. I need to get to the roof.
This way, Nebel says. And the bird is going to stalk over towards a hidden stairwell in the wall. He's going to slide a candle to the side and the door will open. With a shunk.
June looks like she doesn't particularly want to do this, but she's become resolute.
Does anyone know what she's doing? Zarafen asks.
I never know what she's doing.
Annalise probably figured it out pretty
Annalise
quick.
doesn't say anything, but she quickly follows after you. You already have an inspiration. You gain another inspiration. You gain an inspiration.
All right.
Oh, hey! I wasn't giving myself here my wish points for these. So yeah, June will glance at Annalise, and she. Are we the only ones out here? Did he follow us?
Devo, Annalise, and you are headed up the stairwell right now. Is anyone else following, or are you guys down in the throne chamber?
I'd follow, but not like close.
Yuffie went to talk to Clevie, so...
You walk up to Clevie.
She leans down. How are you doing?
You guys, get out.
I know, she says, and she leans forward and hugs him. Maybe we're going to save him.
It makes the sound of a strong wind. Then you hear the sound of a crowd growing distant. And then the rocking of a ship. You hear Jania say, "Man, we're really far out, aren't we?"
I know it might seem a little hopeless right now. We have to stay here and take care of this. We have a godmother on our side. And an angel.
Technically, you do. Sorry.
Technically. We can find him and take back our home.
Roll a persuasion check. You gain advantage.
That don't mean shit.
That don't mean shit.
It's gonna be a 1 and a 2.
Yeah, it's a 9 and a 3.
I was close.
Hold on. It's an 11, because I got a +2.
Good job.
He just nods.
Can she insight him a little bit?
Yeah.
Yeah, halfling.
It's a 1. Yep. I know more 1s than should be humanly possible.
And there's a 20.
And there's a 20.
You know what?
Okay. Plus my insight, so it's 25.
Jesus.
You are going to...
You gotta make up for those ones somehow.
You see that Clevie seems deeply affected by Hero's sacrifice. And even though he likely isn't capable of much action on that part, he does seem to want to take it nonetheless. You're not sure your words were highly encouraging to him.
Can you try again?
You're not sure it would have much impact. You're not sure he's in the mood for words. Isaac, you have no idea what Juniper is doing, but you do think you have some answers as to how this virus works. And from what you can tell, it is startlingly similar to the virus used by the zombies that came down from the north. The same one that Khaled had. Back in this village of Candle.
How long ago was that? For curiosity.
10 years.
Just checking. Thank you.
The virus does indeed function in close synchronization with darkness, and must have been bred in the shadow realm. This is like if there were tiers of disease, this is one tier above the one that you beat in Candle. You would not at all be surprised to learn that Pitt had discovered something about that virus in Candle and used it as a blueprint for this one.
Isaac's going to be explaining all this to the group, but then he's going to ask June if she has any recollection of
She's on the roof.
virus.
You're
Hang on,
suddenly
hang on,
gonna...
hang on.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Isaac's going to ask Juniper if she has any memory of that virus appearing before he found it in Candle.
All right, so as you're speaking to everybody authoritatively, you're going to turn and look at where Juniper was, and there's just nobody there.
That's so good. Okay. Yeah. He rants a little bit. He asks that question. He turns around. You're not there, and he goes, "Oh."
It's
And you
literally
walk to the
just
nearest person
Mythia.
and say, "Did you see where the godmother went?"
Nice Guard 1 is going to point at the wall.
Nice guard. Yep.
He points at a wall?
There's a doorway behind it, sir. A stairwell up to the roof.
I see. Thank you. And Isaac's going to start making his way up there.
Incredible.
As you, Annalise, and Nebel, followed closely by Zarfan and Roland, head out onto the roof. Is there any assistance I can provide? Nebel says, in whatever your plan is.
No. It's not necessary.
Do you prefer a special title for princess?
She looks at him, narrows her eyes. Never call me that again.
He says,
She's dead cold when she says it.
understood.
June repairs her face and turns towards the city. She sets the jars down. Is there a wall?
There is a natural formation of stones that acts as a wall.
Is it flat enough to put a jar on?
Oh, here? There's parapets.
Yeah, that's what I was asking.
Yes, absolutely.
Because we're up on top, so she sets it down. And
You are very high. You can see way into the city. It's like looking at a grand topographic map spanned out before you. Beautiful slate gray skies. The only thing to ruin the day are the noises in the distance. Loud, low yells.
Okay. June opens it, pulls out the darkness using her telekinesis in a circle, and then she pulls out her light. And then between it, they're hanging on either side of the jar of poison, I guess. That's now crazy.
Oh, the jar?
Well, I guess I can't do that anymore, so...
Nebel's going to say, I did read its fate. I am death and disease.
You're welcome, guys.
Hey.
Hey. Okay, so do I need that? I mean, I have knowledge of it. Can I use my knowledge instead of having to actually...
You don't
focus?
need the jar.
Okay, so she has both of these. She closes her eyes and then just sighs. And as she does, it just feels like a warm wave just washes out over the whole city. Out and down.
What are you trying to do?
Cast wish.
The set amount of points are deducted.
June looks very tired after she finishes.
Jennifer expends 15 wish points.
Oh.
Ugh.
Yeah, there's a reason I didn't want to do it.
Down below, Roland, you come up just in time to see the very end of whatever Jennifer just did.
What'd you do?
You would feel a warm wash just over you. It feels like first like cold, like icy cold ripples through. Like it feels like when you went into Shadow Realm, and then right behind it is a warmth. And it's just like a soft breeze, and it's almost instantaneous, but everybody will feel it. And then she will stick that back in and then put the necklace back on. It's done.
What's done? Zarfan asks.
Yeah. Roland looks at Zarfan when he talks to her.
I got rid of the disease.
Just like that.
It's not like it's just like that.
Even True Sight didn't see what you did.
Angels don't know everything.
He looks back towards you, and you see this sort of like... It's impressed, but it's almost like a little show-offy. Like he's like, man, that Juniper.
Roland looks concerned that she's able to do something like that.
You look concerned?
Yeah.
Yeah, June notes it on your face, and you see, it's very quickly hidden, but it's long enough, you see a pain across her face. It's clear she never wanted you to see that.
Yeah, like the concerns kind of dual, like, there's a concern that, oh my god, they have that much power, and then also, when seeing your face, it turns to, oh, this sucks for her to do that.
Mm-hmm. Yes, June just... You see her smile softly as she just turns and she goes, mind giving me your arm? And she leans. It looks like she's tired. Like, you never see June's age because, I mean, she doesn't look like she's old. But she looks like she's probably pretty ancient right now.
Yeah, Roland walks over to you and kind of puts his hand on your shoulder, which I don't think has ever touched you.
Nope. Well, outside of me healing you at one point or
Yeah.
other. And she's held your head.
Yeah. Yeah, you touched me. I don't think I've ever touched you before. He walks over and puts his hand on your shoulder and smiles and says, "Can we fight now?"
Yes, I say we should go probably save Hero.
Annalise is going to offer her support as well. Queen Estrid! Spit it out. What is it? Estrid says towards the guard. They're cured. Everyone.
Would she just have been scooping out, like right now? She'd still have like a...
So as you draw the disease, you sort of grasp it. And in the moment between pulling it from the body, it's gone.
You'd feel the wave, though.
Did it get rid of... So it would have gotten rid of any of that disease and whatever...
Mm-hmm. Anything that was connected to the darkness.
You're going to see the jar solidified in a sort of weirdly bent shape. No longer with the mouth. Now just a odd-looking glass jar.
Well, that was fast. She says, looking down at her hand.
Well, who did that? Western says as she sort of throws her hands out.
I have a few guesses, she calls back.
Isaac, what are you doing? Now that you've mastered this disease.
Sorry, Isaac.
She's gonna shut the laptop.
Jesus Christ.
So, given who I am, do I even feel the effects of what Juniper did?
According to Sarah, it is something that touches everybody.
Okay.
The whole point was that it literally goes through every being, living, undead, otherwise. It's to wipe out the disease.
I would say you do feel it less than most because you can't be diseased.
Okay. So Isaac is like making his way up those steps and he's mumbling and grumbling and he's kind of grumpy. And he's shouting, June, I have findings to talk to you about. Oh, what was that? And then he gets to the top and he sees your face and he says, oh, I can tell now is probably not a good time. Probably wasn't anything you weren't already aware of anyways. And he's going to sit down with the group.
You see that Juniper is being supported by two people, Zarfan and Annalise, and reduce your chaos by 4.
Woot!
Yikes.
0 chaos, baby.
Well,
You know what?
You earned
15 bloody wish
I
points.
was going to say, you earned it.
I've been storing those babies up for a while.
Isaac's going to be sitting with his cane across his lap, and he says, I take it you just worked some sort of miracle.
I suppose that's one way to put it, although I would love to hear of your findings later. However, I think I should sit down soon. It's been a very long day, and it's still not over.
She's gonna turn and look at you.
Wait, are you up
Well,
here?
you're downstairs.
Oh, you guys are up
say,
there. Sorry.
As he was hitting the top of the stairs, Roland would have pushed past him, running back down the stairs.
Okay.
To get you.
It's done? She asks.
Yeah. Let's go get Hero.
She turns and looks at Cleve. Let's go get our family back.
I don't mean to pause you in your pursuit, Estrid says. But the Outrunner is a very fast ship, if I'm not mistaken. They could well be beyond the break of the ocean now. Allow me to help. I will send Drake guards in every direction towards the ocean. When we find them, I'll have them trail, and they'll send word back. Then we will tell you where they are.
Euphemia approaches Estrid.
Wait, no, was that Western or Estrid?
That was Estrid.
Estrid, okay, cool.
Western be doing that?
No, she'd be thinking she pretty high and mighty. So. Oh.
Western's great Drake guard.
Yeah.
Yes.
She thinks things are hers.
I suppose that's
That's
fair.
the impression.
I
that I
suppose
get
that's
from her,
fair,
too.
honestly.
All right, continue.
Right. Euphemia approaches Astrid. Some things I've done to you, I can't apologize for. But I can tell you this. Someday, when our paths cross with that necromancer again, and I have every feeling that it will, I will fill him with every bit of the pain that he has inflicted here. And she puts her hand down on Pearl's lament. And he'll understand. I can at least get vengeance for your people.
You have done more than enough for my people. If you have the patience, I know it may not feel excellent, but my Drake guards are quicker on Drakes than you all are likely to be. Please. She gestures towards the table. Theric, mobilize every Drake guard we have. Everyone we can spare, and send them out into the city. And then mobilize the ground forces. Take out the pirates. My queen, the dragon says, and he rushes off.
I need to get my crew. They're scattered among the town as well.
If you give us descriptions, we can find them quickly and send them in this direction.
She gives the descriptions.
She nods. When you come down, Estrid seems to recognize that at least one of you that went up on the roof, if not Juniper, was responsible for what happened in some way. And she seems to take extra care. She clearly guesses that you were at least mostly responsible by your tired state, and she pulls out a chair for you.
I appreciate that. Thank you. She sits. Did I hear something about the Drake Guard?
Let's speak. We will go ahead and end this chapter right here, Noble Heroes. Go ahead and return to us soon for another episode, and make sure to like and subscribe, comment below, tell us what you thought, and do try this at home.